Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my ranking for all of the films that came out in February 2019. The latest in my monthly series in which I rank all of the films that I saw brand new in theaters during each and every month of the calendar year. And in February, I saw 11 films in total, including one Netflix new release, which does count for the ranking. So I'm going to say that I actually found February to be quite a strong month, especially considering that it is February. But honestly, I enjoyed each and every one of these 11 films, even the ones that other people have not enjoyed, that got like ripped to shreds by critics. I enjoyed more than most. Now, that's not to say they're all good films or certainly great films by any means, but I don't think there was a bomb in February, which is really refreshing. Now, in saying that, I can only rank the films that I personally saw. So there might have been some I missed, in particular on Netflix with new releases. And this is my personal ranking. This is not based on any sort of critical response or score. And it's not even necessarily how good I think the films are in terms of quality. It's just how much I enjoyed them, how I would put them in a list for my own self. It's just my opinion. We all have them. So no hate. Just leave your own ranking in the comment section down below and we can discuss. But without further ado, let's kick things off. At number 11, aka dead last, we have Miss Bala. I went into Miss Bala thinking it was probably going to be super generic and terrible. I came out thinking, alright, that was a pretty solid little flick. Gina Rodriguez is really great in this movie. I think that she has so much star potential and it's shown through with Miss Bala. A lot of the aspects of this film really worked for me. I thought there was a lot of excitement. The story was intriguing, partially because I like these kind of like crime smuggling type of deals. However, it didn't present like badass female. It really was a kidnapping story. And we didn't get to the badassery of it all until it was a little bit late in the film. So if Miss Gina Rodriguez had been wielding that big old gun around earlier on, maybe this would have made it further up the list. But the script, not great, very conventional, and that's why it ended up kind of falling into forgettable territory, and that's last place. At number 10, I have The Prodigy. Kind of like Miss Bala, I went in with very low expectations, and I came out thinking, that was a pretty alright movie. I had a good time with The Prodigy. Our lead here is so good. He's so creepy and really sells everything he needs to sell. And honestly, I think most of the acting was strong. Plus, there are some really creepy moments, some real creep factor. I enjoyed the premise behind just the possession going on. It's not your typical possession storyline. And I think it took that into a new and interesting idea. However, it is basically The Omen. It is basically these other child-possessed films that we've seen in the past. And that third act, oh my gosh, the characters just turn their brains completely off and do the stupidest, most asinine things I could think of. And that third act really made the film shaky overall for me. But at large, I had a good time. I thought it was creepy enough. It gave me the type of horror I'm looking for in February. So I probably won't be remembering this in a month's time, but definitely not the worst thing I've seen so far this year. At number 9, I have Isn't It Romantic? This one has surprisingly hit it off pretty well with critics and the general audiences alike. Rebel Wilson is really fantastic in this film. She really is able to shine through with her comedic chops. She's very funny, very charming, and she's able to sell some of the more deep aspects. We also have Liam Hemsworth, who kills it in this movie, not only being this, obviously, gorgeous hunk, but really funny. He's trying to compete and keep pace with Chris, I guess, when it comes to comedic actor. Adam Devine obviously has great chemistry with Rebel Wilson, and they make a nice team on screen. Plus, I did laugh quite a bit throughout the film. I thought it was quite funny as they made fun of romantic comedies. However, I think that joke ran a little bit thin by the end of it. We were getting to points where it felt a bit recycled, and that was the major joke. That was the only selling point of the film to me. I didn't think the romance really felt developed and worked, but it is kind of a cliched rom-com while making fun of cliched rom-coms. So it didn't reach that level of like sophisticated satire, but it was funny, it was fun enough, and I didn't hate it, which is saying something with a black-hearted, lonely, bitter cynic like me. At number 8, I have What Men Want. I also thought this movie was pretty funny. I laughed almost as much as I did in Isn't It Romantic with What Men Want. And I think this is actually an improvement, personally, on What Women Want. Taraji P. Henson sells everything in this film. She's so charismatic, so charming, and she's great at physical comedy. I loved her in this film. You know who else I surprisingly loved? Erykah Badu. Yeah, her character was kind of ridiculous, way over the top, but she was hilarious. Of course, we've seen this story before. Of course, you can call exactly where it's going a million miles out. But I thought it executed it pretty well. It invests you into the story that's at play, and you get those laughs along the way. This was another one I went in with very low expectations and thought it actually turned out to be a pretty fun time. At number 7, I have Velvet Buzzsaw. So this is nowhere near as good as Nightcrawler. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way right now. But I still think it's a pretty funny, pretty fun, quirky comedy thriller. I don't know. It worked in a lot of areas for me. The high concept kills and the high concept itself with the artwork and the kind of symbolism behind art and money selling out really worked for me. I thought that was actually done very well. Plus, our performances are all really strong. Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, kills it. I mean, he always kills it, but he's great in this movie. Rene Russo is really fantastic. Toni Collette is a lot of fun. Everybody in the film does a really nice job. Plus, we get naked Jake Gyllenhaal, and when is that ever a bad thing? But a naked Jake Gyllenhaal isn't good enough to get us past number 7, mostly because we've seen his nice little booty a few times, so he's gonna have to turn around if he wants like an auto number 1. Y'all, I'm thirsty. What did you expect coming to this channel? But the dialogue is really what kills it for me. The script I don't think is as developed and as smart as it hopes to be. It really pokes fun at all of this high art, and sometimes it works and sometimes it just falls flat. It's too on the nose. And it really is in this fantasy land. Never do you feel like these are actual people talking to each other. They feel like spoofs of high art people. And I would have liked it to maybe be a little bit more grounded. I would have liked some of the suspense to work, maybe. But instead, I think it kind of becomes that over the top and ridiculous high art that it makes fun of. So it doesn't completely work for me, but I definitely was entertained watching it from start to finish. At number 6, I have Happy Death Day 2 You. Who knew that a retread of Happy Death Day could be this much fun? Jessica Rothe completely sells this movie. Without her, this probably ranks almost dead last on the list, if I'm being honest. But she's so charming and so charismatic. She literally takes this film, throws it on her back, and carries it up to number 6. But it's also really funny. Like, there are a lot of laughs in this film. In particular, the, like, suicide kills. I know, it sounds terrible. But they're so inventive and so funny that they kept me thoroughly entertained as we moved throughout. Plus, I think the subplot with Jessica Roth's Tree character worked very well. She got to really show off an emotional side she wasn't able to display in the first film. I thought it was fantastic. However, those side characters, ooh, they really try to bring this film down. They're not great. Her little boyfriend is fine. Her parents are fine. But the friends and like the whole principal and stuff, the dean or whatever he is of the college, it didn't work for me. Plus, the story is way convoluted, I have to say. I much preferred the mystery of the first film. I liked having a thriller comedy rather than a sci-fi comedy, which is kind of what we got here. But it was still a whole lot of fun. I had a good time watching it. I was laughing throughout. So, number 6 it is. At number 5, I have Alita, Battle Angel. Another film that I expected not to like going in, with the kind of wonky, not great, CGI in those trailers, this premise, plus the fact that it had been delayed for so long. Yeah, my hopes were very low on this one. But I had a blast with Alita. As a pure sci-fi action film, it works. It is so much fun. This CGI was so impressive. The fact that Alita is like not real at all and it's mocap and she's fully created from CG is absolutely amazing. Plus, Rosa Salazar acts so well through that mocap technology. She gives a wonderful performance. And the visual effects at large, though, are fantastic. I thought all of the designs on the different cyborgs and robots in this world were amazing, and the CG on them was so well done. The world building was really cool. Everything, effect-wise, is perfect in this film. And the action is amazing. It's so well shot. It looks beautiful. You can tell what's going on. It's not like this choppy mess. And it's a lot of fun. These action set pieces are a blast to be a part of. I also really loved Christoph Waltz in this film. I thought he did a great job in this movie. And I really enjoyed his character in particular. I think his character was maybe the most interesting of them all. However, the other characters that aren't Alita and Christoph, not so good. They're hardly developed at all, yet they all have their own storyline that also isn't developed at all. You can definitely see that this is several mangas shoved into one film and like kind of patchworked together, because there's way too many storylines. There are too many characters with too many of their own subplots that we don't need, we don't flesh out. They just kind of get in the way. Plus, again, the script, and that romance. Oh, we could have left that out altogether. But overall, Alita is more than a fun watch, and definitely one of my favorite theatrical experiences of February. At number 4, I have Cold Pursuit. Of course, we're putting all Liam Neeson controversy to the side and just judging my experience with the film, and I had a lot of fun with Cold Pursuit. Now, it's not what the trailers advertise. We're going to get that out of the way, much like I did in the actual review I posted. But this was advertised as a very generic Liam Neeson thriller, running around, killing guys, kicking ass, old man type of action film. That's not what it is at all. This is a dark comedy. And I loved it. I thought it was so funny, first of all. The like slow burn, ridiculous comedy gags I thought were hilarious. The dialogue was so well written. I thought it was fantastic. The kills were really fun to be a part of as well, and pretty brutal if I'm being honest. I thought Liam Neeson gave a great performance. Most of our acting here in this film is really solid. However, there are some over-the-top characters. In particular, our bad guy in this movie, way over the top. And the police storyline specifically didn't need to be there. And there are a couple smaller storylines that feel very tacked on. But overall, as a dark comedy, I thought this worked really well. And I had a lot of fun with Cold Pursuit. At number 3, I have Fighting with My Family. Another surprise! February was full of surprises. Fighting with My Family looked kind of cheesy. Looked like it was going to be super generic, throwaway type of comedy to me. The trailers really did not do this one justice. But oh my gosh, what a heartwarming, fun, good, feel-good sports film Fighting with My Family turned out to be. First of all, the performances from top to bottom were really great, with particular shout out to Jack Lowden, who I thought was fantastic in this film. The parents, the whole family dynamic and environment was all really well done and well developed. It never felt hokey or ridiculous. They felt like a genuine family. And then this film was a lot funnier than I anticipated it to be, in particular because of those parents. They were a riot, but really funny. I thought it paid a lot of respect to wrestling while acknowledging the acting and the theatrics of wrestling. I thought they really did a great job for us non-wrestling peeps to see the skill and the danger that is still heavily involved. And yes, it is a pretty standard feel-good sports underdog kind of story, but it's pretty much perfectly executed. It delivers exactly what you need out of a feel-good sports film, and it does it very well. I had a great time with Fighting with My Family. I saw it twice this month and enjoyed it both times I saw it, so number 3 it is. If you've been keeping track and know your films from February, you'll know that we have an animated battle for number 1. That's right, the 2 animations that came out this month are my top 2 positions. What can I say? I'm an animation nerd at heart. And coming in at number 2, we have the Lego Movie 2, the second part. I thought this was so much fun. For me, personally, it's pretty much right on par with the first film. I wasn't in love, just like Gaga, over the Lego Movie, as much as the rest of the world seemed to be, but of course, I thought it was a lot of fun, really well written, really charismatic and funny. And I think the second one was really well written, really charismatic, and really funny. I laughed a lot in the second part. And a good portion of that comes to Lego Batman because he stole the show from me. I thought he was hilarious. I loved everything Lego Batman in this sequel. As well as Tiffany Haddish's character. She was so good. That queen was wonderful. And I know some people had a problem with her songs and how much singing there was, that this was basically a musical. But honestly, I thought her songs were funny, so I didn't have a problem. And I loved their duet back and forth about getting married. That song was everything to me. I think Chris Pratt was great in this film as both of his characters, and he really got to stretch and show a lot of range. Elizabeth Banks was fantastic as she was in the first film. Really, all of our returning characters are great, and the new additions are a lot of fun too. The animation is just as good, maybe even a smidge better than the first Lego Movie. It looked gorgeous, and the catchy song is, in fact, very catchy and did get stuck inside my head. And I loved that Everything Is Not Awesome remake. I thought that it really took on that deeper message to kids about that Inside Out obviously delved much deeper into. But hey, everything's not going to always be awesome. And what are we going to do about it? What really held the film back for me is actually similar to what the first one held back for me. I'm not in love. I'm just not quite in love with the live action sequences. And this one has a lot. And for me personally, there's just too much. At least the first film, it only came in really in the third act. This one, we continually revisit. And yes, that's where the big message comes along in the film. And the message is great, especially if you have a multiple child family. But it takes up too much screen time. It really kind of drags the pacing down, really drags the fun of the film down. I wouldn't go as far to say that it's a slog, but those live action scenes dampened my experience with the film. And the story is a little bit convoluted and a little bit all over the place. But overall, I had a blast with the Lego Movie, the second part. That's why Lego Movie 2 comes in at number 2. So, what does that make my favorite film of February 2019? Well, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. I don't know if this will come as a surprise to anyone. If you watched my review, I just gushed and gushed and gushed. If you follow me on social media, I can't stop talking and loving and gushing over this film there either. I absolutely adored The Hidden World. Now, disclaimer, I love the How to Train Your Dragon films. I think they're so well done, and I have fallen in love with these characters across the board really, but obviously particularly Toothless, because how can you not love Toothless, and Hiccup. I relate so much to him as a protagonist and as a character. I really bonded with these two characters and their bond, and this conclusion to their story was beautiful. And I say that as it ripped my heart out of my chest. All of the feels were there. What? I was smiling, I was laughing, I was crying. I was just a mess watching this movie. But that's just because it so beautifully expressed all of those emotions and sucked me as a lifelong fan of these films into what it was that it was selling. It really did justice to the entire franchise. The animation in this film is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, it is so well done. From hairs, like individual beard hairs or hairs on heads, grass blades, to the dragon scales and how beautifully and iridescent these dragons are, to that hidden world, which is a feast to the eyes. I mean, it is spectacular. Honestly, I loved just about everything about this film. It's nearly perfect to me personally. I think this trilogy is nearly perfection. And what a way to conclude one of my favorite personal trilogies of all time. If I'm being honest, I know it's only February, but I honestly cannot foresee this being knocked out of my top 10 of the year. I loved it that much. And that is why How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World ranks as my #1 film of February 2019. That is my ranking of all the films I saw new in February. What did you think of how I ranked these films? And more importantly, how would you rank the films you saw in February? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. And if you liked this video and you like this monthly ranking series, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!